Okay, I'm going to do my best to my review on Spider-Man 2.1 and the Spider-Man 2, the theatrical cut, and 2.1 is the extended cut of the film. I don't know why they call it 2.1. So 2.1 does have its pros. It is a better film and more funny and shows more of Spider-Man's colorful personality. However, it's not enough to write it off as a good movie. It's just more watchable than the theatrical cut is. That's all I'm going to say, and that's pretty much it. Now, this spy movie focuses on this. I should probably tell you what the story is. So, Dr. Octavius goes nuts after frying his shit that controls the mechanical arms, and he gets possessed by them, and they manipulate him. Spider-Man has to put a stop to him before he vaporized half of Manhattan. Because that's what he almost did the first time. But he's not wants to finish the project he started. Because it's his dream. But he was told by a friend of his, which is Dr. Octavius, sometimes we have to be stronger than our dreams and give up that what we love. Even though it's our dreams. Which that sounds stupid now I say it out loud. And well, I think one of the things that the only thing that's better than that, they're focused more on the relationship between MJ and Peter, but still don't make them a bullet. They just don't feel like that they have less they have worse dialogue at the same time. Like his pickup line to Mary Jane is that I hunch. And she says, don't hunch. And that's stupid. That's his pickup line. I hunch. As in hunch. You hunch your back. And she flush with him back saying, don't hunch. And he misses all of her plays until he decides to quit being Spider-Man because he's fucking losing his spidey powers. Because of serious trauma that he suffered in the previous first film. So that's why his powers are not working. He didn't notice it's because they don't hammer the shit in enough. The important aspects, which is PTSD, how that's tying into his daily routine as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and how that's affecting his powers. Then he goes to talk to a doctor about this, and says that he's told that he has a choice to stop being Spider-Man. But the doctor doesn't really know that he really is Spider-Man. And it seems like he's just talking about himself when he says a friend of his dreams. And, Peter's being less into Spider-Man than he was in the first film. Not like he was that much invested in being this hero like he was in the first one, because he wasn't, but somehow he's less invested in it. And that was his hatch not until like he's undoing it. This would be interesting, much more interesting, and he was at least invested into it. Like that never happened in the first one. He never was invested in he never was invested in love being the hero. He just did because of the sake of it. It feels like there's pieces I'm pointing out that where supposed to get from Peter's trauma that we're missing. And when he gives a vitamin, that's when he makes it for the first time and last time to Mary Jane's play, and that's when Mary Jane starts to fall for Peter again. And he wants to pick up where they left off because he's saying it's just that simple when it's not. She's getting married. She's engaged now, buddy. You lose. But you don't get that. You don't get what. And then she decides to. By the third act, once Peter gets his pals back and puts a stop to Dr. Octavius by turning him, by inspiring him to be a good guy and saving the day and saving billions and billions of people, she goes back to him. Okay. And that's the story. That's all there is for the story. I think we're missing more important stuff that could have been edited out of the film. And this seems a little too cluttered and not coherent story enough. Because I thought that this focused more. I just think this is one of the things that Far From Home did better than Spider-Man 2. It's like it focused on the trauma aspect better than, well, this one did. And has some PTSD and the trauma and stuff. And this doesn't really focus on it. Neither one focused on them that well. But Far From Home came closer, and it's more announced that Peter's spice doesn't work because of his trauma from losing Tony Stark, which is probably also from losing his Uncle Ben and when he became Spider-Man. And he gets trauma from not getting a chance with the girl that he had feelings for, Liz. Neither of them do the whole focusing on trauma and Guy losing his grip on his control over spider powers. Far From Home and Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 2.1, none of them do that well, but I think the closest that came is Far From Home. Even though it didn't do that good of a well, we haven't have a Spider-Man film that focuses on trying how that affects his daily routine as Spider-Man and as Peter Parker. And we probably won't get that well done ever for, I don't know. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not much I can say about this story. I can say more about the story of Green Lantern than this. I could say the acting's bad. I could say these characters feel flat, including Spider-Man. I could say all these things, but what would Matt do if that's something I ever said before? I'm going to take it into a more personal. This film was the first film that ever broke me. Yep, broke my spirits. Crushed them into tiny bite-sized pizzas. And I felt like a loser when I watched this, and felt like a failure as a Spider-Man fan. And because Spider-Man failed me. And their feeling sucked. So bad. You know, as much as I hated the 1970 Spider-Man adaptation, I still do, and the Japanese Spider-Man adaptation, I still do, and I think those are worse adaptation. They didn't broke me because I wasn't expecting them. I was expecting us to gradually evolve with a more faithful adaptation is each installment, and this is less of a faithful adaptation of Spider-Man than the first one from 2002, and you think 2004, a few years would pass, you think they would come closer, but they came far away from hitting Bullseye. When you don't even get that Spider-Man is the most chill-ass that he has ever been in his career as Spider-Man in this film. And I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, he just has stress. He has angst." No, he doesn't. Because and also in his characters. I can also say his characters feels very inconsistent, more so than the first one. Because he'll let a guy get beat up and mugged, probably dead, but he'll save children and from a burning building. Yet he fails to save one poor soul that was a child because of having Spider-Man not be giving up his identity as Spider-Man. And which I like this, and I like the only thing I really enjoy is when he's getting ready for getting ready for MJ's play, and he's just trying to decide if he wants to go as Spider-Man or as Peter Parker. So he goes as Peter Parker, and it pauses for a minute or two on that scene, with him just staring at his wardrobe as Peter clothes and his Spider-Man clothes. So, but next thing you know, something happens, and incident happens, and he has to go as Spider-Man, and then dress back up as Peter Parker. And you don't see this action scene, or you see this action happens off screen. Is very creative, I guess. I will say, yada, but it's in the extended version of this film. I don't really care about this betrayal on Spider-Man at all in this particular film. How Maguire plays him is completely alienated of how he played him in the first one. He did have less screen time than the Green Goblin. Here he has more screen time, but his performance feels somehow wrong, and it's hard to pinpoint what's wrong with the performance, but it just doesn't feel organic, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel natural, it doesn't feel like Spider-Man at all. Not even the depressing version of Spider-Man. It just feels like a wall. It's for trying to dress up as Spider-Man. And in this extended version, J. Jonah Jameson dresses up as Spider-Man as just to play with the suit, and he somehow is the best Spider-Man than Maguire in this film, in the extended version of this film. And that's actually the best scene that's not in the theatrical version, and in the extended cut, next to the comedic scene, more comedic, less awkward scene, and less playful, straight and more playful laughs of the elevator scene with Spider-Man and the guy trying to pitch him, trying to have Spider-Man be a brand name, have him sell products, because he knows he's really Spider-Man. Unlike in the second cut, he just thinks he's some guy cosplaying as Spider-Man. It's like, I'm thinking, how stupid are you? How many Spider-Man costumes look that convincing? It's like, in the theater, I'm just like wondering, this time I heard this can't be happening. No one's that stupid and thinks that's actually a costume. That's clearly the legit Spider-Man costume. Other than you, now either you think I can buy it if you think he stole from the real Spider-Man, or I would buy him more if you actually knew that he was a real Spider-Man, because no one's that stupid. No one can be that stupid, can they? My God. And, yeah. It's so... I'm not even having fun with tearing this film apart anymore. At all. Because I realize that I don't think I'm ever going to convince people that this film is bad because they're never going to hear my warning. Because I'm a loser just like Maguire, who plays Spider-Man in this film. I failed as a critic, just like Maguire failed as playing Spider-Man Peter Parker in this film. Oh, God. I failed as movie critic, he failed as Spider-Man in both. First and the sequel, and the extended cut to the sequel. And somehow I don't know, it's just like, everything that could go wrong, goes wrong, blah, blah, blah. I said this before, haven't I? I'll say he's more linear in this film. That's one good thing. He's more, the red and the blue pop more and give him more unique definition. You can tell that he used a different Spider-Man costume because the blue is more like a bolder, darker blue, and the rest more of a darker red than the first one. It's more of like a cherry red, and it looks nice. And looks the changes they made to the suit look more cinematic. And Spider-Man doesn't look like a bodybuilder in this film. He looks more lean and stuff. So he's more built like Spider-Man, less built like, well, a bodybuilder like in the first one. So that's good. And that's all I guess. That's much comments I can give. I thinking more of the comments will be outrageous and straight up unjustified. This is a betrayal of Spider-Man. It's a betrayal, but it's not a good kind of betrayal. It's a bad kind of betrayal for me. I don't see him as stressed out as people think he's stressed out, because in the comics and pretty much in every adaptation that's good and watchable and investing, Spider-Man always deals with his stress the most, the more stress he's under in the comics. You know, so you have to notice that there's this pattern would have how there's a little bit of a pattern I notice when he's under more and more stress. The more and more stress he's under, the more and more jokes he's going to like shoot out, because it's a coping mechanism. If he is truly Spider-Man, then why is he showing? But why is he showing more jokes out in the first one than he did in the sequel if he's under more stress? And I'm just saying, I think the most stressed Spider-Man he has ever been was in the Homecoming. That's why I think it's my first Spider-Man film, because he's not only the funniest, but he's under the most stress because he's the most funniest. Because he handles his stress by quipping. And he's done this since day one in the first issue of Amazing Fantasy, when Spider-Man was the main protagonist. He's always been like that. That's how Spider-Man's always been, and probably always will be Peter Parker Spider-Man. It's like, okay, you took the most important element of our beloved character, and you scratched it, and took it away from him. Makes sense to me. It's like, let's make Constantine not British, like in the comics, but American. Isn't that right, Keanu Reeves? And let's like make him black here and make him dress nothing like Constantine from the comics, like Keanu Reeves. That's very faithful adaptation, isn't it? It's like you took. It's like when you take a certain element of the character that's well known since day one when he made his debut, and that is probably the most interesting part next to his scientific brain that proves that he has a very high IQ and a genius and can think on his toes while being under serious stress. Is like you took those two elements out of him, those two layers of those specific two elements that I just mentioned out of him, his IQ and the ability to quip while dealing with serious stress. And to the point when Spider-Man doesn't feel like Spider-Man anymore. He just feels like a generic hero. A really boring generic hero. So yeah, this film kind of broke me. Yes, it really did broke me. It's still breaking me. Save me from this hell I created, please. By not watching this film, either versions, the extended cut or the theatrical of Spider-Man 2 from 2004, do not watch it. If you want to watch the first one, that is your choice, but please don't watch this or the 70s adaptation that's live action or the Japanese Spider-Man. Because those are this is the idea of negative portray. Because this wasn't a different take on Spider-Man. This was a straight up betray. I felt betrayed by my hero. 100% betrayed. This, you can say, okay, a take on a character is one thing, but when you take the two most iconic, most important elements he's known for, is his ability to quip when under dealing with serious stress, and his ability and his IQ, and using that in the battlefield, using that to his advantage, his scientific mind. It's like, and all you have is the costume and the name of his secret identity in his superhero identity. It just doesn't feel like him anymore, you know? It's like, it's killing me watching him in this film. It really is. It just broke me. Whenever I see this film, it just kills me inside every time. The extended version and the theatrical version, that's why this film just broke me. It broke me every possible psychological way and emotional way, whatever you want to call it. It just broke me. It broke my spirits. It broke everything was what was left of me, and created a hollow man inside. An empty shell of myself. That's what I felt like whenever I see this. Then when I saw the third one, I felt something. Something that was important to me. Like I lost a friend of mine and I got him back. When I saw Spider-Man 3, and then it happened again with Homecoming. And then it happened with Far From Home. Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse from 2018 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 and 1. I enjoyed this one, but I didn't love any of them, okay? They never touched me emotionally like those three films that I loved of Spider-Man. And I'm going to have to say I didn't like Endgame, Spider-Man and Endgame, or an Avengers Infinity War. They gave him nothing to do. They really didn't give him anything to say they didn't give him any jokes for him to say. That he talked, but he didn't make a quip.